The gentle hum of Harmony 7's life support systems filled the quiet corridors as the station moved through the dark space between stars. In his small quarters, Hyun-woo Kim lay sleeping on his narrow bed. The human engineer had been working double shifts for the past 3 weeks. His body felt heavy with exhaustion that seemed to grow worse each day. Something warm pressed against his chest. Something that should not be there. Hyun-woo's eyes opened slowly. The first thing he saw was a face, hovering inches above his own. Pale blue skin with silver markings that traced delicate patterns across high cheekbones. Long white hair fell like a curtain around them both, but it was the eyes that made him fully awake in an instant. Sora's eyes were glowing with a soft, blue light. Not the usual gentle brown color he had grown used to seeing. This was something completely different. The light pulsed gently like a heartbeat. Her hands were pressed flat against his chest through his sleep shirt. Her touch was warm and steady. "Do not move," she said softly. Her voice carried an urgency he had never heard before. "Please stay very still." Hyun-woo's heart began to race. Sora had been assigned as his quarters attendant just 2 weeks ago. The Villani female was always quiet and polite. She cleaned his small room, brought his meals, and barely spoke beyond simple greetings. Now she was on top of him in his bed with glowing eyes and her hands on his body. "Sora, what are you doing?" he whispered. His voice cracked slightly. "Why are your eyes doing that?" The blue glow in her eyes grew brighter for a moment. Then, it began to fade slowly back to normal brown. She sat back on her heels but kept her hands on his chest. Her face was serious in a way that made his stomach feel cold. "Your species is dying," she said quietly. "And you do not even know it." Hyun-woo stared at her. "What are you talking about?" Sora moved off the bed and stood beside it. She smoothed down her simple gray work dress with hands that trembled slightly. "I need to explain something to you. Something important about my people and about yours." "Okay," Hyun-woo said slowly. He sat up in bed, suddenly very aware that he was only wearing his sleep clothes. "But first, can you tell me why you were scanning me? Because that's what you were doing, right? Some kind of biological scan?" She nodded. "Yes, I was scanning you. My people, the Villani, we have natural abilities that other species do not possess. We can see inside living bodies. We can detect illness, poison, genetic damage, many things that medical equipment cannot find." Hyun-woo rubbed his face with both hands. His head felt fuzzy with sleep and confusion. "So you were giving me some kind of medical examination while I slept? Without asking me?" "I had to," Sora said. She began pacing back and forth in the small space between his bed and the wall. "For the past week, I have been detecting something wrong with your biological patterns, something that should not be there. At first, I thought I was making an error, but the readings have been getting stronger every day." "What kind of readings?" Sora stopped pacing and looked directly at him. "There is something inside your body that does not belong there. Something artificial. Something designed to hurt you." The cold feeling in Hyun-woo's stomach grew worse. "Are you saying I'm sick? Because I've been feeling tired lately, but I thought that was just from working too much." "The tiredness is part of it," Sora said. "But this is not a natural illness. What I detected in your system is something that was put there on purpose. Something created in a laboratory." Hyun-woo stood up from his bed and walked to the small mirror on his wall. He looked at his reflection. Same black hair, same brown. Eyes, same ordinary face he saw every morning. He did not look sick, just tired. "A laboratory," he repeated. "You mean like a weapon?" "Yes, a biological weapon. One that is designed to target human DNA specifically." Hyun-woo turned around to face her. "That's impossible. We have medical scanners on this station. We have doctors. If there was some kind of bioweapon in my system, they would have found it." Sora shook her head. "No, They would not. This pathogen is unlike anything in the medical databases. It is designed to be completely invisible to standard scanning equipment. It mimics the appearance of natural cellular processes. Only a Villani biosensor can detect it. A pathogen, Hyunwoo said. The word felt heavy in his mouth. How long have I been infected? Based on the concentration levels in your blood, I estimate about 4 months. Maybe 5. Hyunwoo sat back down on his bed heavily. 4 months ago, he had arrived at Harmony 7 for his assignment. Before that, he had been on Earth, completing his final engineering certifications. Are you saying someone infected me before I came here? I believe you were infected through contaminated supplies, food, water, medical supplements, something that many humans have been exposed to. Many humans? Hyunwoo's voice rose. How many? Sora's expression grew even more serious. I do not know exactly, but if my suspicions are correct, this pathogen has been distributed widely throughout human space, colonies, stations, ships, anywhere humans live and work. Hyunwoo felt dizzy. He put his head in his hands. Why are you telling me this? Why not report it to Commander Park? Or to the medical staff? Because they will not believe me, Sora said simply. Villani are not known for our medical expertise. Most species see us only as servants and cleaners. They think our biosensing abilities are just useful for detecting dirt and maintaining clean environments. But you're saying you can detect things that our medical technology cannot? Yes. My people have been quietly monitoring the health of various species for centuries. We detect problems and report them when we can, but we are rarely taken seriously by doctors or scientists. Hyunwoo looked up at her. So why tell me? I'm just an engineer. Sora sat down in the small chair beside his desk. Because you are dying, Hyunwoo. All of the humans on this station are dying, and if I am right about the scope of this attack, then your entire species is in danger. The room felt very quiet suddenly. Even the background hum of the station seemed muffled. Hyunwoo could hear his own heartbeat in his ears. How long do I have? He asked. The pathogen is designed to work slowly, Sora said. It mimics the natural aging process. Fatigue, reduced immune function, gradual organ deterioration. Without treatment, I estimate 6 months before serious symptoms begin. Perhaps 8 months before. She did not finish the sentence. Hyunwoo stood up and walked to his small window. Outside, stars moved slowly past as the station continued its journey. Everything looked normal and peaceful. But according to Sora, he was carrying death inside his body. Death that had been put there by someone who wanted to kill all humans. Who would do this? He asked without turning around. Who has the technology to create something like this? I have suspicions, Sora said, but I will need help to confirm them. I will need people to believe me and take action. Hyunwoo turned back to face her. Her eyes were normal brown again, but he could see worry and determination in her expression. This quiet alien who cleaned his room and brought his meals was asking him to trust her with his life. What do you need me to do? He asked. The next morning, Hyunwoo could barely focus on his work. His hands shook slightly as he adjusted the power coupling on the station's main generator. Every few minutes, he would glance around the engineering bay to see if anyone was watching. Him. The knowledge that he carried death inside his body made everything feel different. Sora had agreed to meet him in the medical bay during the lunch shift. She would demonstrate her abilities to Ji-Hai, the station's xenobiologist. If anyone would listen to claims about alien biosensing, it would be Ji-Hai. She had spent years studying different species and their natural capabilities. When Hyunwoo arrived at the medical bay, Ji-Hai was already there, checking data on her tablet. She was a small woman with short black hair and curious eyes that always seemed to be analyzing something. Sora stood quietly near the examination table, her hands folded in front of her. So Hyunwoo tells me you have some interesting claims about Villani biology, Ji-hai said without looking up from her tablet. Something about natural scanning abilities that can detect things our equipment cannot. That is correct, Sora replied, softly. Ji-hai finally looked up. No offense, but that sounds unlikely. We have the most advanced medical scanners in human space on this station. If something was wrong with our crew, we would know about it. May I demonstrate? Sora asked. Ji-hai shrugged. Sure, scan me. Tell me what you see. Sora walked closer to Ji-hai. I will need to place my hands on you and look into your eyes. Is that acceptable? Fine. Sora placed her palms gently on Ji-hai's shoulders. Her eyes began to change color slowly. The brown faded away and was replaced by the same soft blue glow that Hyunwoo had seen the night before. The light pulsed, gently as Sora looked directly into Ji-hai's face. Ji-hai's expression changed from skeptical to fascinated. Your eyes are actually glowing. How are you doing that? Special cells in my retinas can detect different types of electromagnetic energy, Sora explained, while the glow continued. They allow me to see inside living tissue. I can observe blood flow, nerve activity, cellular damage, foreign substances. What? Do you see when you look at me? Sora was quiet for a long moment. The blue glow grew slightly brighter, then began to fade back to normal brown. When she spoke, her voice was troubled. You have the same pathogen that Hyunwoo carries. The concentration in your bloodstream suggests you have been infected for approximately 3 months. Ji-hai stepped back quickly. That's impossible. I just had a complete medical examination 2 weeks ago. Everything was normal. The pathogen is designed to avoid detection, Sora said. It camouflages itself by mimicking normal cellular processes. Your immune system cannot recognize it as foreign. Your medical scanners see it as healthy tissue. Show me, Ji-hai said firmly. She activated the medical scanner and positioned herself under the sensor array. Scan me now while you scan me. We'll compare results, Sora nodded. She placed her hands on Ji-hai's arms again and let her eyes glow blue. The medical scanner hummed quietly as it performed its analysis. Green lights blinked across the display panel as data flowed across multiple screens. Medical scanner shows. All systems normal, Hyunwoo reported, reading from the main display. Heart rate good, blood chemistry normal, no foreign substances detected. I see the pathogen clearly, Sora said. Her glowing eyes were focused intensely on Ji-hai's face. It has attached itself to your red blood cells. It is using your own circulatory system to spread throughout your body. The concentration is highest in your liver and kidneys. Ji-hai was quiet for several seconds after Sora released her. She walked to her desk and pulled up medical files on her computer screen. I have been feeling more tired lately, she said slowly, and I've had some minor digestive issues. But I attributed that to stress from the long mission. That would be early symptoms, Sora confirmed. The pathogen causes fatigue by interfering with cellular energy production. Digestive problems occur as it begins to affect organ function. This is incredible, Ji-hai said. She turned to face Sora with new respect in her voice. If what you're saying is true, then Villani have medical abilities that far exceed our current technology. We do, Sora replied. But most species do not wish to acknowledge this. They prefer to see us as simple domestic workers. Ji-hai began pacing around the medical bay. Why would your people accept such limited roles if you have these abilities? Because we learned long ago that other species become uncomfortable when they realize how much we can see, Sora explained. We can detect illness, but we can also detect lies, fear, aggression, attraction. Most beings prefer to keep their biological secrets private. So you hide your abilities to make others feel comfortable? We use our abilities quietly. We work as household staff, maintenance workers, food service personnel. Positions where we can monitor the health and well-being of other species without drawing attention to ourselves. Hyunwoo felt a chill as he understood what Sora was really saying. You've been watching us, all of us, monitoring our health without telling us. Yes, Sora said without shame. It is what my people do. We have been doing it for centuries. That's a massive violation of privacy, Jihai said. Is it? Sora asked calmly. When we detect poison in someone's food and quietly remove it? When we notice the early signs of disease and suggest medical attention? When we identify environmental hazards that others cannot see? Is protecting people without their knowledge truly wrong? Jihai stopped pacing. You've been protecting other species all this time? We try to help when we can. But we must be careful. If other species knew the full extent of our abilities, they would either fear us or try to exploit us. What about this pathogen? Hyunwoo asked. How many humans are infected? Sora's expression became grim. Based on what I have observed and communications from other Villani throughout human space, the infection is widespread. Space stations, colony worlds, Earth itself. Thousands of my people have detected the same pathogen in human populations. Thousands? Jihai's voice rose. Why didn't you report this? Some tried. They were dismissed as mistaken or ignored entirely. Your medical professionals could not confirm our findings with their equipment. Jihai sat down heavily in her chair. So while we thought everything was fine, an entire species has been quietly documenting our infection with a biological weapon. We are not your enemies, Sora said firmly. My people chose to help because humans are different from other species we have encountered. Different how? Most species treat Villani as servants or ignore us completely, but humans are curious about us. You ask questions about our culture, our homeworld, our abilities. You treat us as individuals rather than just workers. Hyunwoo remembered his first conversations with Sora. He had asked her about Villani food, their art, their family structures. She had seemed surprised but pleased by his interest. More importantly, Sora continued, humans have shown remarkable creativity and adaptability. Your solutions to problems often surprise us. Your ability to work with multiple species and find common ground is unusual in the galaxy. So you decided to warn us about this pathogen because you like working with us? Jihai asked. We decided to warn you because we believe humans have the best chance of stopping whoever is behind this attack. And because if humanity falls, the galaxy will lose something precious. Jihai turned to her computer and began typing rapidly. I need to contact Commander Park immediately. We need to scan every human on this station. Your scanners will not detect the pathogen, Sora reminded her. Then we'll need you to scan them, Jihai replied. All of them. We need to know exactly what we're dealing with. Sora nodded. I will help in any way I can. As Jihai continued working at her computer, Hyunwoo walked over to Sora. Thank you, he said quietly, for risking yourself to warn us. You are welcome, she replied, but the real work has not yet begun. Finding the pathogen was the easy part. What's the hard part? Sora looked at him with serious eyes. Finding out who created it and stopping them before they complete their plan. Commander Taemin Park stood in the conference room with his arms crossed, staring at the data displayed on the large wall screen. The numbers were disturbing. In the past 6 hours, Sora had scanned every human on Harmony 7. All 43. Crew members were infected with the same mysterious pathogen. This cannot be accurate, Taemin said for the 3rd time. Our medical systems would have detected something like this. Your medical systems are designed to find known threats, Sora replied patiently. She sat at the conference table next to Jihai, her hands folded calmly. This pathogen was created to be invisible to standard scanning equipment. Created by who? Taemin demanded. I have been in contact with other Villani throughout the galaxy, Sora said. They have provided me with additional information about this pathogen and its possible origins. Hyunwoo leaned forward in his chair. What kind of information? Sora activated the table's holographic display. A three-dimensional map of the galaxy appeared, with thousands of small lights marking different locations. Each light represents a Villani who has detected this pathogen in human populations, she explained. Red lights indicate high infection rates. Yellow lights show moderate infection. Green lights mark areas where the pathogen has been detected but is not yet widespread. The map was mostly red and yellow. Only a few scattered green dots appeared in remote areas. Dear God, Jihai whispered. It's everywhere. The pattern is too organized to be natural. Sora continued. The pathogen appeared first in major population centers, then spread along trade routes and transportation networks. This suggests deliberate distribution through contaminated supplies. Taemin activated his communication panel. I need to contact Earth Command immediately. I would not recommend that, Sora said quickly. Why not? Because if my people are correct about the source of this pathogen, then contacting Earth Command may alert the creators that we have discovered their plan. Taemin paused with his hand. Over the communication controls. What do you mean by the source? Sora manipulated the holographic display. The galaxy map was replaced by images of different alien species. My people have encountered bioweapons before. Each species that creates them has distinct characteristics in their design approach. She highlighted one particular image. The creature shown was tall and thin, with pale gray skin and large black eyes. Its limbs were unnaturally long, and strange markings covered its body. This species is called the Korvathi, Sora said. They are one of the oldest civilizations in the galaxy. They ruled over vast territories for thousands of years before other species began to develop space travel. Ruled over? Hyunwoo asked. The Korvathi believe they are superior to all other life forms. They consider themselves the rightful masters of the galaxy. For millennia, they enslaved or destroyed any species that challenged their dominance. Jihai studied the image carefully. I've never heard of them. They're not in any of our diplomatic databases. That is because they withdrew from galactic politics several centuries ago, Sora explained. Other species had grown strong enough to resist their control. The Korvathi retreated to their home systems and appeared to accept peaceful coexistence. But they didn't really accept it, Taemin said grimly. No. According to Villani historical records, the Korvathi have been working secretly to regain their dominance. They created advanced biological weapons designed to weaken or eliminate species. They consider threats. Sora changed the display again. This time it showed a timeline with different species marked at various points. Over the past 2 centuries, several spacefaring civilizations have experienced mysterious population declines. Their medical experts attributed these to natural diseases or environmental factors. But Villani biosensors detected artificial pathogens in each case. You're saying the Korvathi have been quietly wiping out entire species? Jihai's voice was horrified. Not wiping out completely. They prefer to reduce populations to manageable levels, then offer to help with the crisis they secretly created. The weakened species become dependent on Korvathi assistance and gradually fall under their control again. Hyunwoo felt sick, and now they're doing the same thing to humanity. Yes, but there is something different about the human pathogen. It is more sophisticated than previous versions. The Korvathi appear to view humanity as a more serious threat than other species they have targeted. Why would they see us as a threat? Taemin asked. We've only been in galactic society for 20 years. Sora's expression became thoughtful, because humans have accomplished something remarkable in those 20 years. You have formed genuine partnerships with multiple species. You have shared technology freely. You have created collaborative projects like this station that benefit everyone involved. That sounds positive, not threatening. To most species, it is positive. But to the Korvathi, it represents everything they oppose. They believe in hierarchy and control. Human ideas about cooperation and equality challenge their fundamental worldview. Jihai was taking notes rapidly on her tablet. So they decided to eliminate us before we could spread these ideas further. That appears to be their plan. But they underestimated something important about humans. What? Sora stood up and walked to the large window that looked out into space. Her reflection showed faintly in the transparent material as she gazed at the stars. The Korvathi designed their bioweapons based on mathematical models and logical predictions. They calculate exactly how a pathogen will affect a species based on known biological data. That sounds like a reasonable approach, Taemin said. For most species, yes. But humans are unpredictable. Your biology is more variable than other species. Your immune systems adapt in ways that do not follow standard patterns. Hyunwoo joined Sora at the window. Are you saying our immune systems might fight off this pathogen naturally? Some humans, yes. The Villani have observed that approximately 10% of infected humans show signs of developing resistance. Their bodies are slowly learning to recognize and attack the pathogen. 10%, Jihai repeated. That's still not enough to save our species. No, but it is something the Korvathi did not expect. Their models predicted zero natural resistance. The fact that any humans are developing immunity suggests that their weapon is flawed. Taemin returned to the conference table and activated the communication panel again. I need to send a coded message to Earth. We have to warn them without alerting the Korvathi. There is more, Sora said. My contacts have learned that the pathogen has a trigger mechanism. What kind of trigger? After 6 months of infection, exposure to a specific electromagnetic frequency will cause the pathogen to become rapidly aggressive. Instead of gradual organ failure over months, infected individuals will experience complete system shutdown within days. The room fell silent. Hyunwoo felt cold fear spreading through his body. They can activate it remotely? Yes. The Korvathi are likely waiting for the pathogen to reach maximum distribution before sending the activation signal. When they do, most of the human population will die within a week. How long do we have? Taemin asked quietly. Sora returned to the table and consulted data on her personal device. Based on infection timelines throughout human space, I estimate the Korvathi will send the activation signal within the next 4 to 6 weeks. That's not much time to find a cure, Jihai said. No, Sora agreed. But there is reason for hope. What? Reason? Sora's eyes began to glow softly with blue light as she looked at each human in the room. Because humans have something the Korvathi do not expect or understand. You have the ability to find solutions that should not work according to logical analysis. What do you mean? My people have observed humans for decades. You combine scientific knowledge with intuition and creativity in ways that other species do not. You make connections that seem impossible, then prove they are correct. Hyunwoo felt a spark of hope. You think we can find a cure? I think humans are the only species in the galaxy with a real chance of defeating a Korvathi bioweapon, Sora said firmly. And I believe we should begin immediately. 3 days later, the medical bay had been transformed into a research laboratory. Extra equipment filled every available space. Computer screens displayed complex biological data that updated constantly. Jihai worked at the main console while Hyunwoo operated a modified scanner that he had rebuilt using engineering techniques. Sora stood at the center of it all, her eyes glowing with steady blue light as she examined blood samples under a microscope. Her biosensing abilities allowed her to observe the pathogen in ways that normal equipment could not match. I can see it moving, she said softly. Her glowing eyes reflected in the microscope's surface as she peered through the eyepiece. The pathogen attaches to healthy cells and begins copying their structure. It learns to mimic whatever it touches. That explains why our scanners cannot detect it, Jihai said. She was analyzing data from 12 different blood samples. It's like a biological chameleon. Hyun-woo looked up from his modified scanner. But you said some humans are developing resistance. How is that possible if the pathogen can copy our own cells? Sora adjusted the microscope and her eyes glowed brighter. That is what makes this discovery so remarkable. Look at this sample. She stepped back from the microscope so that Hyun-woo could take her place. Through the eyepiece, he could see tiny dark specks moving through red blood cells. But some of the blood cells appeared different. They had a faint shimmer around their edges. "What am I looking at?" he asked. "The shimmering cells belong to Minho from the communications department," Sora explained. "He is one of the humans showing natural resistance. His immune system has learned to recognize the pathogen despite its camouflage abilities." "How?" "Watch carefully. Use the highest magnification setting." Hyun-woo adjusted the microscope controls. The image became much clearer. He could see individual pathogen particles attempting to attach to Minho's blood cells. But instead of successful attachment, something strange happened. The blood cells seemed to push the pathogens away. "They're rejecting them," he said in amazement. "Yes, but that should be impossible according to standard immunology," Ji-hai said. "The pathogen perfectly mimics human cellular structure. There should be no way for the immune system to tell the difference." Sora's eyes dimmed back to normal brown as she turned away from the microscope. "This is why the Korvathi underestimated humans. They assumed your immune systems would follow predictable patterns. But human immune systems don't always follow patterns," Hyun-woo realized. "They adapt. They learn. Sometimes they do things that don't make scientific sense." "Exactly. Human biology is more chaotic than other species. What you call chaos, the Korvathi see as a weakness, but in this case, it may be your greatest strength." Ji-hai pulled up new data on her screen. "I've been analyzing the blood chemistry of the 12 humans who show resistance. There's something interesting about their backgrounds." "What kind of backgrounds?" Hyun-woo asked. "They come from all different regions of Earth. Different genetic backgrounds, different ages, different occupations. But they all have one thing in common, which is they all spent time in environments with high biological diversity before coming to space. Rainforests, coral reefs, areas with lots of different microorganisms." Sora nodded slowly. "That makes sense. Exposure to diverse biological challenges would train their immune systems to recognize subtle differences between friendly and hostile organisms. So their immune systems are better at detecting the pathogen's disguise," Hyun-woo said. "Yes, but there is something else. Something even more interesting." Ji-hai brought up a new display showing genetic analysis data. The resistant humans don't just reject the pathogen, their immune systems are actively learning from it. Learning what? How to improve their own defenses. Each time the pathogen tries to attach, the immune response gets stronger and more specific. It's like their bodies are reverse engineering the pathogen to understand how it works. Sora's expression became excited. "That is remarkable. I have never observed such adaptive behavior in any species. Could we use this somehow?" Hyun-woo asked. "Maybe extract immune cells from the resistant humans and use them to help others?" "That's what I've been thinking," Ji-hai said. "But we need to understand the mechanism better first." Sora returned to the microscope, her eyes beginning to glow blue again. "May I suggest a different approach?" "What do you have in mind?" "Instead of trying to copy the resistant human's immune response, perhaps we should focus on enhancing the natural human ability to adapt." Ji-hai frowned. "How would we do that?" "By using human problem-solving methods rather than standard medical approaches." Hyun-woo sat down in a chair near the workstation. "What do you mean by human problem-solving methods?" Sora stepped away from the microscope and faced both humans. "I have observed that humans approach problems differently than other species. You don't just analyze data logically, you also use intuition, creativity, and what you call hunches. Those aren't scientific methods, Jihai protested. No, but they often lead to scientific breakthroughs. Humans make connections that seem random, but turn out to be correct. You see patterns that pure logic would miss. Hyunwoo thought about his own work as an engineer. It's true. Sometimes I solve problems by trying approaches that shouldn't work according to the manual, but they do work. Exactly. The Korvathi created this pathogen using pure logical analysis. They predicted how human biology should respond based on mathematical models, but they did not account for human unpredictability. So you're suggesting we fight unpredictability with unpredictability? Jihai asked. I'm suggesting we use human strengths instead of trying to compete with Korvathi technology. Sora walked to the wall display and activated a new screen showing chemical formulas. For example, what if we approach this problem like human engineers, instead of like doctors? What do you mean? Engineers don't just study how machines work. They also study how to make them work better. They modify, improve, and sometimes completely redesign systems. Hyunwoo stood up suddenly. You're talking about modifying the pathogen itself. Yes. Instead of trying to destroy it, what if we could reprogram it? Jihai looked skeptical. Reprogram a biological weapon? Why not? Hyunwoo said, his excitement growing. The pathogen is designed to learn and adapt. What if we could teach it to work for us instead of against us? Sora's eyes glowed with approval. That is exactly the kind of human thinking that the Korvathi cannot predict or counter. But how would we reprogram it? Jihai asked. The same way the resistant humans' immune systems are learning from it, Hyunwoo replied, through exposure and adaptation. We could create controlled environments where the pathogen encounters modified conditions, Sora suggested. Force it to adapt in directions that benefit humans instead of harming them. Jihai was quiet for several moments, considering the idea. It's completely crazy, she said finally. Yes, Sora agreed. It goes against every principle of safe biological research. Yes, and if we make a mistake, we could make the pathogen even more dangerous. Yes. Jihi smiled suddenly, which is exactly why it might work. The Korvathi would never expect humans to try something so reckless. Hyunwoo began pacing around the medical bay. We'd need to set up isolation chambers, multiple backup containment systems, and we'd need to work fast. How fast? Sora asked. If your timeline is correct, we have less than 4 weeks before the Korvathi send the activation signal. Then we should begin immediately, Sora said. Her eyes glowed bright blue as she looked at both humans. But I must warn you, this approach will require you to trust your instincts even when the data suggests you are wrong. Can you help us? Hyunwoo asked. I will do everything in my power to assist you. My people's biosensing abilities combined with human creativity may be exactly what is needed. Jihai turned back to her computer and began typing rapidly. I'll start designing the containment protocols. Hyunwoo, can you modify the engineering systems to create the isolation chambers? Already on it, he replied, moving toward his equipment, as both humans threw themselves into their work. Sora remained standing by the microscope. Her eyes continued to glow softly as she watched the pathogen samples. For the first time since discovering the threat, she felt genuine hope. Humans were about to attempt something that no other species would even consider. It was perfectly, wonderfully, dangerously human. 2 weeks later, Harmony 7 had become the busiest location in the galaxy. Ships from dozens of different species arrived daily, bringing scientists, diplomats, and medical experts. The station's docking bays were so crowded that new arrivals had to wait in orbit for available spaces. In the main conference hall, Elder Navu of the Villani stood before an assembly of alien representatives. The elderly Villani was taller than Sora, with silver markings that covered most of her pale blue skin. Her white hair was braided with tiny crystals that caught the light as she moved. The situation is more serious than we initially believed, Elder Navu said. Her voice carried the authority of someone who had lived for centuries. Our investigation has confirmed that the Korvathi pathogen represents a threat to all spacefaring species. A reptilian delegate from the Saurian Confederacy raised one clawed hand. You claim this weapon targets only humans. Why should other species be concerned? Because the pathogen is designed to evolve, Elder Navu replied. Once it completes its work against humanity, it can be modified to target other species. The Korvathi have created the perfect biological weapon. Murmurs of concern rippled through the assembly. Representatives from 12 different species exchanged worried glances and whispered conversations. In the medical bay, Hyun-woo monitored the latest test results while Sora observed samples through the modified microscope. Her eyes glowed with intense blue light as she tracked the pathogen's behavior in the controlled environment they had created. It's working, she said softly. The pathogen is adapting exactly as we hoped. Are you sure? Ji-hai asked from her position at the main computer console. The readings look chaotic. They are chaotic. That's what makes them perfect. Over the past 2 weeks, the research team had developed a completely new approach to fighting the Korvathi weapon. Instead of trying to destroy the pathogen, they were teaching it to become something useful. The key breakthrough had come from studying how human immune systems naturally adapted to biological threats. Rather than following standard protocols, they had created environments where the pathogen was forced to choose between different evolutionary paths. Show me the latest modification, Hyun-woo said. Sora adjusted the microscope settings and stepped back. Through the eyepiece, Hyun-woo could see pathogen particles that looked completely different from the original samples. Instead of attacking human cells, they appeared to be working alongside them. They're not trying to copy our cells anymore, he observed. No, Sora confirmed. They're trying to improve them. What do you mean improve? Ji-hai pulled up data on the wall display. The modified pathogen has learned to enhance human immune function instead of suppressing it. It's like having a biological upgrade that makes humans more resistant to disease. That's incredible. How did you get it to change its behavior so completely? We used human logic, Sora explained with what might have been amusement in her voice. Instead of fighting the pathogen's natural ability to adapt, we gave it better options to adapt toward. Better options? We created test environments where the pathogen could only survive by helping human cells instead of harming them. Over hundreds of generations, it learned that cooperation was more successful than conflict. The communication panel activated suddenly. Commander Tae-min's voice filled the medical bay. Research team, please report to Conference Hall 1 immediately. We have visitors who want to see your work. When the research team arrived at the conference hall, they found it packed with alien representatives. Hyun-woo had never seen so many different species in one location. Beings with scales, fur, feathers, and skin in colors ranging from deep purple to bright orange filled every available seat. Elder Navu gestured for them to join her at the front of the assembly. These are the humans who have developed a potential solution to the Korvathi threat. A tall, thin alien with gray skin and large black eyes stood up from the front row. Hyun-woo recognized the species from Sora's earlier briefings. This was a Korvathi. I am Science Director Veltar of the Korvathi Hegemony, the alien said in a voice that sounded like metal scraping against stone. I have come to observe your alleged solution. The assembly fell silent. Sora moved closer to Hyun-woo, her hand, ready to activate her biosensing abilities if needed. You created the pathogen, Ji-hai said. It was not a question. We created a biological tool designed to return the galaxy to proper order, Veltar replied without shame. Humans represent a chaotic influence that threatens galactic stability. Chaotic influence? Hyun-woo stepped forward. We've been working to build cooperation between species. Exactly. Your ideas about equality and collaboration undermine the natural hierarchy that has maintained peace for millennia. Elder Navu's crystals chimed softly as she moved. The Korvathi definition of peace involves the subjugation of all other species. It involves order, Veltar corrected. Each species in its proper place, contributing according to its abilities. And humans don't fit into your vision of proper places? Jihai asked. Humans are unpredictable. You make decisions based on emotion rather than logic. You form alliances that make no strategic sense. You share technology without demanding payment. Or loyalty. Those sound like positive qualities, said a delegate from the Aquarian Federation. They are dangerous qualities, Veltar insisted. They spread disorder throughout the galaxy. Sora's eyes began to glow softly as she studied the Korvathi representative. What do you see when you look at humans? She asked. I see chaos. I see inefficiency. I see a species that will eventually destroy itself and take others with it. I see something different, Sora replied. Her blue glow intensified as she looked around the assembly. I see a species that finds solutions where others see only problems. I see creativity that leads to breakthroughs. I see the ability to unite different groups toward common goals. Your pathogen was designed to eliminate these qualities, Jihai said to Veltar. Yes, with humans removed from galactic affairs, order can be restored. But your pathogen has failed, Hyunwoo said. For the first time, uncertainty appeared in Veltar's large black eyes. Failed? We have not only found a cure, Jihai explained. We have turned your weapon into something beneficial. Impossible. Our biological models are perfect. Sora stepped forward, her eyes glowing bright blue. Your models did not account for human unpredictability. The same qualities you sought to eliminate are what allowed them to defeat your weapon. Show me, Veltar demanded. Jihai activated a portable display screen. The assembly could see microscopic images of the modified pathogen working alongside human cells instead of attacking them. We didn't destroy your pathogen, Hyunwoo explained. We convinced it to work for us instead of against us. We taught it that cooperation is more successful than conflict, Jihai added. We used the pathogen's own adaptive abilities to turn it into a beneficial symbiont, Sora concluded. Veltar stared at the display for a long moment. This is not logical. Biological weapons cannot be reprogrammed. They can if you approach the problem like a human engineer instead of like a Korvathi scientist, Hyunwoo said. But how? Elder Navu's crystals chimed again as she spoke. Because humans understand something that the Korvathi have forgotten. The most powerful force in the universe is not control or domination. It is cooperation. The reptilian delegate from earlier stood up. If humans can turn a bioweapon into a beneficial tool, what other problems might they help us solve? That is why we are here, said another delegate, to formally request human assistance with challenges that pure logic has been unable to address. Veltar looked around the assembly with growing alarm. You cannot trust them. Their methods are chaotic and unpredictable, which is exactly why they work, Elder Navu replied calmly. The assembly erupted in discussion as different species began talking among themselves about potential collaborations with humanity. Veltar stood frozen in the center of the chaos, watching his carefully ordered worldview crumble around him. Sora leaned close to Hyunwoo and whispered, "This is what the Korvathi feared most. Not human military power or technology, but human ideas spreading throughout the galaxy." As the assembly continued its animated discussions, Hyunwoo realized that the pathogen crisis had become something much larger. Humanity was no longer just fighting for survival. They were showing the galaxy a new way forward. 6 months later, Hyunwoo woke up in his quarters to the familiar sound of someone working at his desk. But this time, he was not surprised or alarmed. He knew exactly who it was and what she was doing. Sora sat at his workstation, her eyes glowing softly blue as she analyzed data from their latest research project. Charts and graphs filled multiple screens, showing biological patterns from 17 different species. "Good morning," Hyunwoo said as he sat up in bed. "Any interesting discoveries today?" "The Aquarians have developed a remarkable resistance to the modified pathogen," Sora replied without looking away from her work. "Their aquatic biology processes it completely differently than terrestrial species." "Is that good or bad?" "It's fascinating. The pathogen has learned to adapt to aquatic environments in ways we never predicted." Hyunwoo got dressed and walked over to look at her data. The modified pathogen had been distributed throughout human space 3 months ago, providing immunity to the original Korvathi weapon while also enhancing human immune systems. But its effects had not stopped with humans. "How many species are requesting the treatment now?" he asked. 23. The Saurian Confederacy formally submitted their request yesterday. The transformation had been remarkable. What began as a desperate fight for human survival had become the foundation for a new kind of galactic cooperation. The modified pathogen, which they now called the adaptive symbiont, had proven beneficial for most species that tried it. But more importantly, the process of creating it had demonstrated the value of human problem-solving methods. Species throughout the galaxy were requesting human assistance with challenges that traditional approaches could not solve. "Any word from the Korvathi territories?" Hyunwoo asked. Sora's expression became thoughtful. Elder Navu received a communication from a group calling themselves the Korvathi Reformation Movement. They are requesting a meeting. Reformation Movement? Korvathi who reject the hegemony's supremacist ideology. Apparently our success has inspired political changes within their society. Hyunwoo walked to his small window and looked out at the view beyond. Where once there had been empty space, now he could see dozens of ships from different species. Harmony 7 had become the center of the new Galactic Cooperative Medical Institute. "Do you think Veltar was right about us being chaotic and unpredictable?" he asked. Sora finally turned away from her work. Her eyes had returned to their normal brown color, but they held warmth and amusement. "Yes, I think he was completely correct. That doesn't concern you?" "Not at all. Chaos and unpredictability are not weaknesses. They are tools for solving problems that order and predictability cannot address." A soft chime indicated someone at the door. "Come in," Hyunwoo called. Ji-hee entered, carrying a tablet and wearing an expression of barely contained excitement. "You need to see this," she said immediately. "What is it? Remember the Korvathi pathogen that we never completely eliminated? The original version that some humans still carry in dormant form?" "Yes. We decided it was too dangerous to remove. Completely. It's not dormant anymore, but not in the way we feared." Ji-hee activated her tablet and showed them microscopic images. "The original pathogen has been learning from the modified version. It's evolving on its own." Sora's eyes began to glow as she studied the images. "This is remarkable. The original pathogen is trying to become beneficial like the modified version." "Exactly. It's as if it learned that cooperation is more successful than conflict, and now it's changing itself to match that lesson." Hyunwoo felt a familiar mix of excitement and concern. "What does this mean for the people who still carry it? Enhanced immune function, improved cellular repair, increased resistance to environmental toxins. The same benefits as the modified version, but even stronger. So the Korvathi weapon is continuing to evolve in our favor?" "Yes. And there's more. We're detecting similar changes in pathogen samples from other species, even ones that were never directly treated with the modified version." Sora stood up from the desk, her expression amazed. "The concept of cooperation is spreading through the biological network. The pathogens are teaching each other." "Teaching each other what?" "That symbiosis is more successful than parasitism, that helping host organisms survive and thrive is better than harming them." Ji-hee sat down heavily in a chair. "We didn't just cure a bioweapon. We accidentally created a galaxy-wide biological education system. An education system that teaches cooperation, Hyunwoo added. The Korvathi are going to hate this, Sora said with what was definitely amusement. The communication panel activated. Commander Taemin's voice filled the room. Research team, please report to the main conference hall. We have representatives from the Galactic Council who want to discuss expanding our programs. As they walked through the corridors of Harmony 7, Hyunwoo noticed how much the station had changed. Aliens from dozens of species worked alongside humans in every department. The walls displayed art and cultural symbols from throughout the galaxy. Multiple languages could be heard in casual conversations. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if you hadn't woken me up that morning, Hyunwoo said to Sora. You would have died within 6 months, she replied matter-of-factly, along with most of your species. And now? Now, humans have become the bridge between order and chaos that the galaxy needed. You have shown that different approaches can work together to create something better than either could achieve alone. They entered the conference hall to find it filled with representatives from the Galactic Council. At the center of the assembly stood Elder Navu, but she was not alone. Beside her stood a Korvathi that Hyunwoo did not recognize. This is Science Director Keshara of the Korvathi Reformation Movement, Elder Navu announced. She has come to formally apologize for her government's actions and to request assistance. The Korvathi female looked very different from Veltar. Where he had carried himself with arrogant superiority, she appeared humble and genuinely curious. We have learned that our understanding of galactic order was flawed, Keshara said. The humans have demonstrated that chaos and order can work together to create stability that neither can achieve alone. What kind of assistance are you requesting? Taemin asked. We would like to learn human problem-solving methods. Our society faces challenges that pure logic cannot solve. Political division, environmental damage, social inequality. We need new approaches. Sora stepped forward. Are you prepared to accept that human methods might seem chaotic and unpredictable? We are prepared to accept that our definition of chaos was incorrect, Keshara replied. What we called chaos, you call creativity. What we called disorder, you call adaptation. And you want to learn these qualities? We want to survive and grow as a species. Our old ways have led to isolation and stagnation. Human ways seem to lead to cooperation and progress. Elder Navu's crystals chimed softly. The Galactic Council has voted to establish permanent human advisory positions on all major interspecies projects. Advisory positions? Jihai asked. You will help other species learn to approach problems the way humans do, combining logic with intuition, order with creativity, competition with cooperation. Hyunwoo looked around the assembly at aliens from dozens of different worlds, all waiting to hear humanity's response. We accept, he said simply. As the assembly erupted in discussion and planning, Sora moved closer to Hyunwoo. I told you once that I was here to serve, she said quietly. I remember. I said I served the future of all species, and that future was brightest when we worked together. What about it? Sora smiled, her eyes glowing softly with blue light. I think that future has arrived. Later that evening, after the meetings and ceremonies were finished, Hyunwoo returned to his quarters. Sora was already there, working, at the desk on their latest project. When she heard him enter, she looked up with that same warm smile. Good evening, partner, she said. Ready to save another species tomorrow? Hyunwoo sat down beside her and looked at the data they were analyzing. It showed biological patterns from a species he had never heard of, facing a problem that seemed impossible to solve. Absolutely, he replied. What's the challenge this time? The crystalline collective has a fascinating problem with their reproductive cycle. Traditional biology says it cannot be fixed. Traditional biology? Yes. Which means it's perfect for human problem-solving methods. As they began planning their next impossible project, Hyunwoo reflected on how much his life had changed. 6 months ago, he had been a simple engineer trying to do his job. Now he was part of something much larger. Humanity had found its place in the galaxy, not as conquerors or servants, but as the bridge between different ways of thinking. And it had all started with waking up to find his maid on top of him, scanning him with glowing blue eyes. Sometimes the most important discoveries came from the most unexpected moments.